What is up, everybody? My name is Justin. This is Forever Self-Employed, and welcome back to another episode of the Forever Self-Employed podcast. I have the first ever second guest appearance. He's already made one appearance. It was so good that we had him on for another appearance. Tim, introduce yourself, bro.
First ever second appearance.
Yeah.
Yours truly, Tim O'Laughlin, man. Thanks for having me, Justin.
All right, so we'll hop right in here. So first, we're going to talk about the painting business. Secondly, we're going to talk about Rumble. Tim, let's go ahead and get right into it. First question, how to start a painting business with no money.
All right. I'm actually an expert in this. So some of my very first jobs that I got into, and I'll just tell you straight away, it is possible. So basically, if you get the job, right, go out there, get the job. And if somebody hires you on and they say you want to do the job now, somebody has some painting tools around. Your parents, your friends, a neighbor, anybody. Somebody has a roller and a brush that you can use. Now, let's just say that, okay, maybe you don't, okay? The dollar store actually has painting tools. Now, these will be the crappiest tools that you'll ever use, and the job won't be that great. You know, the quality's not going to be up to par, but it's your first job, and you're starting a business with a $0 investment, just investing time. So if it costs you $2 to go buy a wonky brush and a wonky roller, it's going to make you're going to work harder, but you'll get the job done. You'll get that money, and then you go out and you buy yourself a $10 roller and a $20 brush. But it is possible, and that's pretty much how I started. I borrowed a brush. My mom had some random paint stuff in the garage. You know, I grabbed those, and I went and did my first bedroom, and then, you know, just kind of went from there, man.
Right, and
it's possible.
That's kind of what I tell people too, especially like as far as starting with no money or even just starting out. It's like do a couple jobs for your family members, do repaint something in your house, get those good before and after pictures, and also get that experience under your belt that you need.
Very true, very true. So I actually didn't know how to paint during that first job, right? But it was like, hey, you know, how hard can it be? So to gain that experience, I just would paint my own. At the time I had a house, and I just paint my house just over and over and over until I got good at it, you know. And then eventually I felt more comfortable trying to pitch myself and get more like public jobs. Because the first few jobs, like you said, of course, they're like through family or a neighbor or, you know,
right,
your mom's friend, you know, throwing you a bone or whatever, you know.
Right. And I mean, I think that doing those jobs is also going to build confidence because you're not really, until you do it a bunch of times, you're not really confident in the way that you speak about it, the way that you handle yourself and your demeanor. So you really need to get that experience talking to customers as well. So I would say do your first couple jobs for free, at least. Get those good before and after pictures and use that to market yourself.
Yeah, that's great advice, dude. That's great advice. Or just charge, you know, just say, hey, I'll charge you, just pay me what you think I'm worth, or just $50, you know, whatever. I mean, just something, you know, buy me lunch or, you know, whatever. Like I've done some jobs like that for family members. Just like, hey, buy some pizza. We'll come over here and we'll do a help or whatever, you know. But you're right. Confidence is key.
And I think that's really important because a lot of people want to, before they even jump into the business, they just want to go, you know, if I do get into this business, can it replace my whole income that I'm currently making right now? And it's like, a lot of people ask me about the pressure washing business. They're like, can I quit my job and just do this full time? And I'm like, dude, I mean, until you jump into it, you get a good idea for how to communicate well with customers, how to quit your jobs, how to market yourself properly. I mean, there's just so many different aspects. So I tell people if they're looking to get into any business, you might want to start off simply by just doing some free labor, free work, getting those pictures, getting that experience, learning how to talk to people, and just getting proficient within, you know, the context of the business that you're trying to get into.
Great advice, dude. That's great advice. I can't argue with that at all.
Devin Selders says, ask for a deposit and then go pay for supplies. I think that's awesome, man. You know,
so that is actually another way. I'm glad he brought that up. That is, that's definitely how I floated for a long time. You know, you just like, I need a small deposit and then you can go get everything you need and get started. Great. I'm glad he brought that up. I can't believe I didn't even think of that.
Devin, really appreciate that, man. Yeah. What equipment do we need to get started in the business?
Okay. So if you're just going to do like small interior jobs or like an exterior job, so exterior job's a little different. Now, you might want to get a sprayer for that, but I would recommend if you're starting out, just stick to the interior jobs, like a kitchen, a bathroom. So literally all you need to get that done is a brush, a roller, and a bucket. I mean, you could seriously get it done. You could use old bed sheets or just be really careful, carry a wet rag around with you. Because and all the cool thing about painting, right, is like all of the material is basically paper and plastic, and it's fairly inexpensive and it goes a long way. So really, to get started, and I'm going to include some material in this, and that's just because you kind of need some material. So you can expect to spend, you know, anywhere from $10 to $20 on a brush. You're going to need a brush. Now I recommend having several, but one brush will do the trick because you can wash that sucker out and use it over and over and over. Same thing with the roller. Get a good quality roller, a roller pad, and a good quality frame. Now, those dollar store frames that I mentioned earlier, those will get the job done. But what happens is they're really flimsy, and what ends up happening is they bend, and it's hard to apply the pressure evenly and everything. So just get you a couple good quality paint rollers and brushes to start out. A bucket, any kind of bucket's going to work. And a lot of people like to use those pans, where those pans, they lay flat on the ground, and I don't recommend using those unless you like stepping in paint. Now, just get you a bucket, because a bucket, you can pick it up. You're not having to bend over. And those are the tools you need to get started. A bucket, a roller, and a brush, man. I mean, honestly, that's all you need to get started.
Awesome, man. Yeah. And then to the point that we made earlier, VinBiz just commented a great comment. He said, if you get an exterior job that you can't handle, you can always sub it out and get some cash flow from the job. So I think that's a great idea, man. And I think that's a great way for people to go about it. Do you think that there's a market for people just being able to find jobs and then subbing it out to other people?
So unless you have a contractor's license, that's technically like illegal. So if you have a contractor's license, you can hire in subs. But as a painter, I mean, I guess you could hire out, call your buddy who's a painter or whatever. But for me, when you're first starting out, just get out there and do it. And you could rent a sprayer. The thing why I say is you might need a sprayer for the exterior is because with stucco, you're going to be there for weeks and weeks if you're trying to dip your roller each time you want to paint that stucco. That stuff's like concrete. A lot of times it's real dry. Sometimes it's never been painted because the stucco over here in California, they just add a powder, like a colorant to the stucco. I don't know. Do you guys have stucco out there?
Yeah.
Like stucco houses? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. So, excuse me. So, I recommend a sprayer, but you could rent a sprayer. You can go to most Kelly Moore, like a Benjamin Moore, or like Pittsburgh, or any kind of spots like that. You could rent a sprayer, and they're fairly cheap. Probably 24-hour rental for a sprayer to get like all of the body work done on a house, because that's really all you need the sprayer for is the big surfaces, because you're going to come back with a brush and fine tune everything, but you're looking at a $60 expense if you can knock it down in one day, or go back to the earlier thing and just call around, man. Get on Facebook. Anybody got a paint sprayer I can borrow for the weekend? Or you do what my buddy Ricky says. He goes, "Oh, you do the Walmart rental program. Just go buy it and take it back when you're done." I don't recommend doing that, but
I mean, yeah, it's bad business. It's bad karma too, I feel like.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Well, dude, tell me what the difference between, you said earlier you could buy like a $2 brush, and then once you do a job, you can get like a more expensive brush. Is there that big of like a difference between the entry level, like really cheap stuff, and then the higher price stuff?
Yeah, absolutely. So if you get those cheap brushes, like I said, they'll get the job done. But what happens is the bristles will come out. So you'll have like little bristles everywhere, and they don't really hold the paint right. And it makes it hard to cut in straight lines. Now, if you get the more expensive brushes, I recommend using a Purdy brush. And, there's all kinds of different types for different surfaces that you're going to paint. But those brushes will last forever, and they hold a lot of paint. And the filaments are synthetic, and they're like split on the end. So they're designed. I mean, there's some design and thought put into like a quality brush, whereas the cheap brushes are just slammed together somewhere, and they're going to fall apart. You could try to wash them out, but they're not really going to last.
Right. So basically what you're saying is get your jobs and then reinvest in your equipment when you start out.
Yeah, absolutely. Just like with any business, really, right?
Of course. What's your current setup as far as equipment? Because obviously you've been in the business for a long time. So what would a more experienced painter's equipment look like as opposed to someone who's just starting out in the business?
So a more experienced painter is going to definitely have a gas rig. You're going to have I like to use Graco, but there's also Titan, and there's all kinds of different airless sprayer companies, but I prefer to use Graco. I got a Graco 695, and that's a pretty big pump, and it can handle, a big 2-story house, big wide surfaces. Then I have a smaller Graco. It's a Graco, like a Pro X9, I think it's what it's called, something like that. It's like a Home Depot.
Like specifically for is that what is a Graco specifically for people who don't necessarily know what that is?
Okay, so Graco is just a brand name. So it's just a brand of sprayer. There's two like the top brands, So you got like your Chevy and your Ford, it's a Graco and the Titan. Those will be like the two top manufacturers of the spray pumps. And then you have cheaper like Wagner's and stuff, which if you're planning on painting to make money, do not get those Wagners, because that's like the once or twice a year you're doing maintenance on your home kind of paint stuff, because those things are horrible to clean out. The seals and stuff aren't meant to last, and you're just not going to get the kind of power that you're going to get with the professional grade like airless sprayers. So I recommend you have a big sprayer, a big gas sprayer, especially if you're going to get a commercial job. But the primary sprayer that I use is a 695 Graco, and it is electric sprayer, and it's amazing. You know, I got a 100-foot hose on it, so I could pretty much reach around a whole house without having to move the pump anywhere. But it has wheels on it and stuff. But there's lots of options. I mean, you can get a pretty decent pump for about $300. When I first started, the first pump I bought was $300. I worked that sucker, man. It's probably only rated for like a couple hundred gallons a year, but I probably ran thousands of gallons through that stupid.
Can you get that from Harbor? Can you get that from Harbor Freight?
So Harbor Freight has a sprayer, right? Harbor Freight has this little like sprayer. It's like a hopper. You pour the paint in and everything. And I have a couple buddies who have used that like in a pinch, and it gets the job done. But I can't see doing 3 to 4 houses a month all year long off of a $200 sprayer from Harbor Freight. It's not gonna last.
Right.
But
absolutely,
it'll get the job done. That's what's cool about painting, is you could use the bottom of the barrel tools to get started, and then you just start reinvesting. And the cheaps are fairly expensive. Now the pumps and ladders are expensive, but you know, that's why you got to offer up. Craigslist, Marketplace.
Right. So like as far as your current setup goes, is it anything else other than that Graco sprayer that you were saying that would be different from a beginner setup? Maybe you need like different size ladders. You need you
definitely need different size ladders. Yeah, but I mean, as far as the difference between a beginner setup, I mean, I guess the beginner setup when it comes to ladders, you need like a 4-foot, maybe a 6-foot, possibly a 10-foot ladder. Once you start doing bigger projects like more exteriors and stuff, you're gonna need ladders. Like I have a 32-foot ladder, 22-foot ladder, 16-foot ladder, 10-foot ladder, 6-foot ladder, and I have multiples now, because sometimes you got buddies helping you, and you need more than one 6-foot or whatever. So I have a plethora of ladders, but I really only use maybe 2 or 3 of those ladders on a daily basis. And that'll be the 4-foot ladder, your 6-foot ladder, and your extension ladder, whether it be a 16 or 22-foot. But a 16-footer will get you most places. And I prefer to use the fiberglass ones. The metal ones are just a little.
Perfect. Let's get into the next question. And that is how to bid a painting job.
Okay. So if you're first starting out, there's like, you know, a white hat tactic and there's a gray hat tactic. And I've done both. I'll tell you
first of all, what's the difference between, is that like blue collar and white collar?
So like, so let's say, it's like an integrity thing, I guess. How would I break the gray hat? Like, it's not necessarily like wrong.
Okay.
But it's like looked down upon. It's not really like something that you would want, that you'd be proud of, you know, but it's not necessarily wrong, you know? So, so basically my gray hat tactic is, when I first started out, I got a big giant exterior job and I had no clue how to bid it. I was like, I could handle the job, but I don't want to underbid, and I don't want to come off like I don't know what I'm talking about and overbid. So like, I didn't know what to do. So this couple, they worked in the Bay Area, so they were gone. So what I did is I just scheduled a bid for another local painter, a couple painters that come in so I can get a range. And I just, you know, was right in the middle of the range and ended up getting a job. And that was that, you know? So it kind of gave me an idea. So every job after that, I already had done that big job. So every job was either same size, a little bigger, same size, or a little smaller. So you could kind of gauge it off of that one job. So after I did that, I ran into more, and I started getting the ball rolling. I started getting to more custom jobs. And I didn't know how to bid those, because I'm like, okay, this is like a lot more work. This is kind of stuff I haven't done. And so I found this website. It's called HomeWise, and it's HomeWise, but HOMEWYSE. And basically what you do is you pick what kind of trade or service you want to offer. And it ranges from house cleaning to pool cleaning, like anything you can think of. You type in paint, you type in your zip code, square footage of the project that you have. And it basically breaks it down into labor, material cost, maintenance, and everything. And it'll give you like a high and a low. So I figured since I was new, I would just go closer to that low number to kind of, you know, be competitive. And that worked out a lot. And then pretty soon you just, you know, over time, you just know, you know. And there's no real formula, but you realize this is going to take me 7 days. I like to make $350 a day. So we're looking at a $2,500 job. You know what I mean? So
So
You just
HomeWise gives you a range then. Is that what you said?
yes, sir. Yeah, it gives you a range. It
How
gives you a
cool is
range.
that, man?
And then say if the customer's like, oh, I want to pay for paint. Cool thing about HomeWise is it'll have this section, the estimated paint. Let's say, bottom of the barrel paint, or if you want to use top tier paint, and it gives you like a range. So you could fudge around, but it gives you an idea,
Is
So
that
you're
like a
not just
typical thing, paying for paint? Is that something that the customer doesn't usually do?
typically when I write up a bid for a job or an estimate, all things are included. So I include the paint. So if you get to include the paint, the cool thing is you can mark it up, right? Because I'm getting it at a discount.
Right.
Because I'm buying hundreds of gallons of paint every year. They know my face and they know my count. So basically, Joe Schmo walks in off the street and they get a gallon of, say, Durapoxy, which is like some of the best paint you want to use for your cabinets. He's paying about $61 for that gallon. I'm pulling the gallon for about $25. So then I could charge my customer $40, make some money on the paint, still saving them like $20. So they don't want to go buy the paint.
Right.
You know what I mean? So the cool thing is you give them that estimate with your material marked down, and there's no way they could beat that price like doing it themselves. That's the thing about painting is like a lot of people don't want to pay because they're like painting, like I could do this myself. And it's like, well, do it yourself. But what ends up happening is they start looking into how much material costs. Cause I don't know the last time you bought paint, but it goes up every month, dude. It seems to go up, but it's like
why
pennies,
is that though?
just regulations and recycling and the EPA. And there's just all these extra fees and stuff. So when you buy paint, you're supposed to be able to dispose it anywhere, like a handy hardware store. They're supposed to take the paint, but you pay for that. It's like when you buy a can of soda or pop or whatever, you pay that deposit. And if you return the can, you get the money. Same thing with the paint. You pay when you buy the paint, and I think it's about around 70 cents a gallon. So every time you buy paint, you got your state tax, you got your sales tax and everything, right? But then you have this extra tax. It's like a county tax, and that allows everybody to bring their paint and drop it off. So you don't have to pay to dispose it, because prior to that, you had to like pay. If you go to a dump, you have to pay an extra fee to leave your paint.
Dude, how cool is that, man? That's crazy. I had no idea. Okay, let me break right quick for a second. 33, 12. All right, you guys. So we got some new people in the chat. I'm just gonna go ahead and shout them out right quick because I appreciate you guys hopping in here. I know Tim, you shouted out the live stream before we hopped in here. In the future, I'm probably not gonna. I don't even know. I'm probably gonna play with this a little bit because I'm not sure if I want to address the chat, but there were some good questions and some good points.
No, yeah,
that they were bringing
Let's do
up.
it, man.
So of course, like big shout out to Dominic Barbado. Dominic hopped in here.
Yeah.
He said the legends. He said, "Why can't I super chat? What the heck?" And then he said, "Learning about the painting business might be the new hustle." Kind of like Reyes on that one. I might be in the wrong business. So big shout out to Dominic. Nah. Dominic, the reason you can't super chat, bro, is because I'm not monetized yet. So I appreciate everybody who's in here, bro, because y'all help my watch time out, or just helping, the channel watch time out. Parker Thompson says, "What's up?" And
he's coming up.
He's coming up.
Next. He's next.
I'll tell you who's next, bro. It's Will, the financial wolf.
He's already gone, man. He's gone.
That man's gone, bro. And then VinBiz has a question. Do you itemize your estimates for your customers, or do you just send them the cost of the entire job?
Never, dude. Never itemize, dude. Because what's going to happen is like their neighbor, Bob, and the dude from work can come in and do all the prep work ahead of time. Dude, no. Never itemize, because it's like, what am I going to say? Oh, I'm going to charge you $800 to paint the body, and then I'm going to do, $600 to do the trim. They're like, well, we'll do the trim, but it's like, it's a process. You know what I'm saying? Like it's going to make it harder for me if I'm not doing, or like, say it's an interior, how much to paint the inside of my house? Oh, well, we're looking at about $3,200. Oh, well, okay. Can you itemize it? So now I'm like, okay, well, the living room is $1,000. The kitchen is $500, and they're like, well, what if you just don't do the kitchen, and it's like, well, then it makes my job harder, because now I have to wrap off the kitchen because I'm not painting in there. So like the price really doesn't. So that's why I never itemize you, because they're going to pick you apart. They're going to be like, oh, well, Dick, John, and Harry can come over and do all of this. So can you just take that off of the bid and then be that much cheaper, and I got paint in the garage you could use, so don't worry about that. It's like, fuck that, dude. Or damn, I shouldn't have cussed, man. But yeah, dude, that's how passionate I am about not itemizing, because that happens every single time you do that, man. Every single time they want to
So you
pick it
blanket
apart,
bid
man.
then. You blanket bid. So like I'll do like the whole outside or I'll do the whole inside. Itemized meaning you're not specifying each individual piece
Price
and how much
for
it costs.
each. Yeah, exactly. Now I do itemize my procedures. So, I'll explain. I wish I had my like invoices are really thorough. And I think it's because it's been building since I first started and didn't know how to make like an estimate
Right.
or send in a bid, So like I basically sell myself on my estimate too. It's not just a freaking, invoice with the title and a number and that's it. Like at the bottom, I put a little paragraph explaining how I like to do stuff and why the price might be a little bit higher than, normal because I use premium products. So I have a little segment at the bottom. It's like notes. And I just totally try to sell. I try to close right there, and I think it works because I'm not the lowest guy. Like, like Aaron from Lean
Yeah,
and
Lean and
Mean,
Mean
right?
Academy. Yeah.
Okay, so dude, he's so right. Like I listen to him talking, I'm like, it's so true because like I had a guy call me wanting me to travel out to the Bay Area, which traveling to the Bay is like the city. You don't want to
Right.
commute to the city to work, right? It's horrible. But everybody's like, oh, the pays that you're getting like double. It's just not worth it, right? So this guy's interested in getting me to come. He's got these big old custom houses that he's building and blah, 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 blah. I hear it all the time, right? Well, it's like, are you competitive? I'm like, no, man, you just told me all this stuff. Like, you need me. Like, I'm not going to be competitive because you're already taking me to an area I don't want to be at. So it has to be worth it. Now you're asking me if I'm going to be competitive. I'm not interested. I'm the highest paid guy in my area right here. I mean, I try to be, if I can.
Right. So are you saying that there's too many people in the Bay Area that kind of bring down the cost of the job? Is that what you're saying? Or is it just
There's a
because
lot
you're
of,
traveling so you're charging higher prices?
so both, man, because I live in the valley, right? And if you travel to the Bay Area, that's where all the work's at, which is so true, but everybody thinks the money's out there. So everybody's commuting and it just makes the drive and the time you spend on the road horrible. If it's a 8-hour job, you're looking at a 13-hour day. And 4 of those hours you're sitting, it's windshield time. And it's just not worth it, man. It's not worth it to me. So for a guy to ask me to do something that I really don't want to do already, but he doesn't want to pay the kind of prices that is going to get me out there. Like I said, my work speaks for itself, dude. I do good work. And I'm not going to, and if I'm going out there and it's not worth it, it's going to show in the work. And then, now I'm working back. Now I'm going backwards. Now my reputation's going backwards. Oh, Tim, he's all right, but the work ain't that great. Like,
Right.
I like the word on the street to be, yeah, Tim's a little expensive, but it's worth it.
Right.
So that's how I try to run my paint business.
Because you're paying for quality. I mean, dude, how many times? I'm sure so many people have gotten screwed by just, trying to get the cheapest guy out there, and they end up, doing a terrible job.
Dude, I've been having to. I fixed a lot of jobs. A lot of jobs happens a lot, dude. Yeah,
Right.
Or they get kicked off.
Yeah, I guess this is a great segue into the next question. Is like, is the painting business oversaturated? Would you say that it's oversaturated?
I would, and that's because it's like landscaping. It doesn't take a whole lot to get started, right? So there's a lot of people. Like, I was one of those guys. I was a scab, I come in, undercut everybody, come in and get the job. But, that's why you just got to figure out ways to set yourself apart and really just do good. Just like with anything, you start off, you're not going to be on top. Well, some people are on top right out the gate, but,
Dude, so I asked this question pretty much like in all the businesses that I like to interview, I like to ask this question because it kind of just gives you a good reference point. But one of the things that really sticks out to me is the business oversaturated? It's oversaturated from the point that you're only getting jobs for the people who are searching for it on Google, but it's not oversaturated from the point of like, can you get in front of the customer and make them think, like what I'm trying to say is, so like with pressure washing, there might be like 100 people pressure washing, right? But unless you're putting the flyers on their mailboxes, getting in front of them and then being like, oh yeah, I do need pressure washing, it's not oversaturated at that point. It might be oversaturated for them if like they're looking for pressure washing and they're on Google and they're like, pressure washing companies, there's 30 companies. But if I'm in front of them, if I'm targeting my Facebook ads properly, if I'm putting out the right flyers, if I'm getting in front of people and letting them know that, reminding them that they do need this service, then from that perspective, I don't think it's oversaturated. You know what I'm trying to say?
No, that's a great point. Yeah, that's a great point. Like, it's not oversaturated, I guess. There's a lot of people out there doing it,
well,
but
from that perspective, yeah. Because like how many, okay, so Tim, like you live in a good area, you live in your area. How many other people do you see promoting their painting business in your area? I think that would be a good question.
So maybe not very many.
When was the last time you got a flyer? When was the last time you got a Facebook ad that popped up in front of you? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, never, never.
And I mean, you're probably the target demographic. Like if we're targeting someone, I,
Yeah, it's
I
true.
think you would probably fall in the target demographic for people who need painting work.
Yeah, 18 to 44, right? I'm right there in the middle.
Right. I don't know about 18, but yeah, I know what you're saying.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, from that perspective, it might not be oversaturated. It's not oversaturated because I just want for people watching, especially that are looking to get into the painting business. You hate to scare them off by saying this business is oversaturated. There's a ton of people. There might be a ton of people, but there's not a ton of people doing all the right strategies. It's not like we're trying to invent a new soft drink and we're trying to compete with Coke. You know what I mean?
Okay, so here's the thing too. I mean, even though there is a lot of painters out there, everything needs to be painted all the time, dude. So I mean, there's plenty of work. It's not like it's oversaturated to the point where there's not work,
Mm-hmm.
because like you said, you got to get out in front of those people. Some people don't even know they need paint, like you said, like they don't even know they want pressure washing. So it's
Right,
like, oh
right,
yeah,
right.
maybe we should need paint, yeah. So putting those little clips on Facebook and stuff, that's the best. I mean, I've never had to pay for ads, but I've been fortunate, using the tactic, just putting it on my personal page and my community page.
Yeah, and dude, it's so funny. Ever since I started recording my pressure washing jobs and then posting those on my Facebook page, dude, I've gotten so many people I know, like they'll bump into me, they'll be like, dude, I saw your pressure washing videos. And it's just like such a good reminder to stay in front of people. That way, we talked about this last time. If anybody's on those Facebook business page and they're like, hey, I'm looking for a pressure washer, like I pop up, or they're like, hey, I'm looking for a painter, Tim pops up, because you're the first thing in their mind, dude. It's all about staying in front
Yeah.
of the potential customer.
Yeah, I stole that idea from you, man. Just post up. 'Cause I mean, I'm already making the dang video, right? Why not just chop it up into a smaller segment,
Right.
slap it up like, hey, you guys don't forget holidays are coming up. Man, I got so many phone calls doing that. It's crazy,
Right,
dude.
right, right. And dude, like I told you, bro, I get so many people messaging me like, or even comment on the videos like, hey, thank you so much. You inspired me to start my pressure washing business. Now I'm making like X amount of dollars. And I'm like, dude, where's my code at? Like,
Hey, where's my cut, dude?
let's go.
Yeah.
PayPal link in the description. No, I'm just kidding. But you know what I'm trying to say.
No, I get it.
That's
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, dude. So I think I think this is a huge, it's going to be a huge part of business. And I think as marketing begins to expand, especially for these smaller businesses, like if I was a roofing company, I would be recording every roofing job, time lapsing it and putting it on my Facebook page, website, and then just sharing it out. You know what I mean? Like how many
Yeah.
businesses are there to where they could record the work that they do, time lapse it, post it out? And that is the best marketing because it's like you see exactly what we do,
Yeah, you see it. You see it. It resonates way more than a picture, that's for sure. I mean, before and after pictures are great too, but to sit there and just be like, oh, okay, seeing how it's done. It's just
Man,
videos. Dude, video rules, dude.
man,
Honestly.
I'm saying, and I don't think a lot of people have adopted that strategy. So I think there's a huge space for anybody to come in and do that,
Yep. I'll probably get pushed out eventually when some youngster graduates, be like, oh, I want to take all this guy's advice and just push him out. Hopefully I don't need to paint by then. Let's hope.
Right. So that pretty much wraps up the painting portion of this. We're going to get into Rumble in here in just a second, but I want to go ahead and address the chat.